going.
Hey gang, Tony here. Welcome back to Candy Corn Apocalypse. I wanted to talk to you guys for a little while here. I haven't been making a whole lot of videos, and as you may know if you've watched my previous one or two videos, you'd know that I was kind of like on the edge of trying to figure out what to do with this channel, because I haven't been posting a whole lot lately, and frankly I'm a little bit sort of over the whole mystery box thing and unboxing in general, and I've been doing that less and less. And as you guys know, with YouTube sending out these letters to smaller channels, things are changing for a lot of people. Now, I don't talk about this kind of stuff, and frankly, I don't really pay very close attention to this kind of stuff normally, but I do just barely squeak by for my channel with the number of, so you have to continue putting ads on your page and making ad revenue. I believe you need over 1,000 subscribers, and I have almost 3,000, I think, at last check. I don't really, like I said, I don't really pay attention to that stuff anymore, but I believe I'm nearing 3,000 subscribers, so I'm okay there. But the other part of it is you have to have a certain amount of hours of view time over the course of a year. I want to say it's about 4,000 hours of view time, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I only barely I didn't get one of these letters, so I just kind of saw what was out there. I think someone did the math, and it's like 450,000 minutes or something like that. Maybe a little less, maybe 400,000 minutes. It's in that vicinity. I just barely squeaked by with that one. So I was looking at my my analytics over the past year, and I have over that, but like if I make any major changes to the channel and viewership goes down at all, I probably won't next year. And then I also looked at my ad revenue. I'm going to tell you guys about this because it's not something I care about that much, and you'll see why in a second. But if you've been watching my channel for many years, you'll know that I never did put ads on the channel for a very long time, simply because I didn't think of my channel as that sort of thing. I wasn't doing it to make money from ad revenue anyway, and I didn't have that many viewers and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't have the time to make like what I would consider like quality, you know, edited, amazing videos. I do that sometimes. I try to do that when I have the time. But I did last year finally put ads on, because I was asking you guys, you know, if I should do a Patreon, that kind of thing, and someone said, well, if you're going to do that kind of thing, why don't you start with ads? And I said, that makes sense. So I put that on, and over the course of a year, I just checked, I've apparently made about $30-something. I would think it was like $36 in ad revenue. And if, for those of you who don't know, when you do this, it goes through AdSense, Google AdSense, and you're not allowed to cash out until you hit $100. So, that's really, I think of it almost like a rewards card, like a credit card, where you use the card over the course of a year, and then that 1% reward point thing that you get eventually, you know, oh, hey, woo, I got $50, I could go, you know, buy a video game. So, obviously, it's not income, as far as I'm concerned. $30 in a year is pennies, it's nothing. So, I'm at a point here where, given the new culture of YouTube and where things are going, I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to push forward and try to keep my viewership and keep the viewing numbers up there so I could continue to make those pennies, and maybe more, if things, you know, change for the better, or give up. And when I say give up, I don't mean like I would abandon the channel completely, but I would probably start making much less video and whatnot. So I'm in that decision-making moment right now, as I'm sure many YouTubers are, especially those of you who received the letter, and I think you have until, like, you have 30 days basically to get the numbers, which I know for a lot of people is not possible. And I feel really bad for the people who had, like, like me, maybe the $20 or $30 in the AdSense, and since you can't cash out until you hit $100, if they cut you off at the neck now, that's like $20, $30 that you aren't going to be able to get, right? Because you're not going to continue getting money because they're cutting the ad revenue out. So there you got this money sitting there, which I guess, I mean, it's not like a lot of money, but it's still kind of annoying, right? Because you would have, I'm sure, liked to have gotten that. So anyway, as you guys know, this channel has always been sort of like my just my connection to people out there as I'm doing my other stuff. I'm a writer, I'm a sculptor, although I haven't been doing a whole lot of that stuff lately because of my day job, but I am getting back into it. And I mean, that's really where I have a day job. I teach, adjunct professor at a community college. So that's like my main source of income. But then I have these little things I do on the side, my hobbies, I consider them really at this point, that bring in a little extra cash. And YouTube never did much for me in terms of the ad revenue, but it is a great way to connect with you guys and tell you about things that I'm doing for my shop, such as I'm finally, and I know you guys hate me for this probably because it took me so long, but I am finally going to finish my second run of the Killer Clowns, the Killer Clown busts that I made last year. So I did like an initial run of these that I believe, I don't remember how many I made, but they're probably about 20 of them or so. And they sold out very, very quickly. And a lot of people missed out on those, and I promised that I would do another small run, and I never did. Well, I do have, this is the prototype, but I do have 4, 8, about, I want to say about 12 sitting here. I'm being a little wishy-washy about that because I think I promised one to someone last year that I have to kind of take out of the pile. But right now they are base coated, so those 12 are base coated with, I just gotta paint them, and I could get them in the shop. So that's what I'm doing now that I have some time on my hands. So that'll be the first thing. I know the Candy Corn Apocalypse store over on Store Envy has been kind of quiet as of late, the past half a year-ish, because I was full-time for a while there. So I'm going to get back to that. And this will be the first thing that pops in the store. There are other things in the store. And they're actually on really deep discounts that I put on around Halloween. I just left up there. So if you're looking for stuff, like my t-shirts, the Candy Corn Apocalypse membership pack, I believe there are a couple of Ups and Pratt magnets left with the bug bag. There might be a couple of the jack-o'-lantern magnets. I do have a few of those things up there. They're just sitting there because I haven't been promoting the site or really doing any kind of advertising for it. But those are there, and then the Killer Clowns would be in there. And then after I finish painting these, I am going to start doing some new stuff. I have a few ideas. I have some old ideas that I wanted to do last year that I never got to. And then I have some newer things that I'm toying around with. Most notably, what I'm trying to do at this point with the shop is move away from well-trod areas of sculpting and horror resin making. Simply because there are a lot of people doing a lot of similar stuff. And excuse me. And I would like to try to get into my own little bubble universe where I can maybe kind of carve out a niche for myself. So what I'm talking about, of course, is original art. Not so obviously the Killer Clowns is not original. This is I sculpted it. I do this myself, but it's of course based on existing intellectual material, and that's kind of the stuff that is always sold the best, which is why so many people do it. Because you could easily, if you make something that people are familiar with, like Freddy or Jason, whatever, people get excited about it and buy it. And that was an easy way for me to start my little business. my little hobby. I shouldn't even call it a business. It's really not. It's a hobby at this point. But I've, over the years, I'm sure you guys have noticed, if you have been following me, that I've been slowly doing my own designs of things and moving a little bit away from pre-existing characters, horror characters, and things like that. I would like to completely break away from those things, such as with this was one of my first major original character figures. I've done other original things, but this was the first major figure that I did. Obviously, there is the Jason head on a stick, and I did that because I did it because I was afraid to just put out a figure that was completely original with no connection to pre-existing material, because I was afraid people wouldn't be interested. So I did the Jason head on a stick as an accessory, as a way to have that in there in case people were like, oh, well, I have no interest in this, whatever that is, but Jason's with it, so that makes it a little more fun. So that was, honestly, I'm being probably too honest now, that was done completely out of fear. I was afraid no one would buy my stuff if I didn't have some kind of, pre-existing horror franchise connected to it somehow. So, anyway, as I move forward, I am going to try to move away from that kind of thing, do more original art. One of my main concerns always has been intellectual rights. As you know, you should really pay for the rights to do these kinds of things. I've done such small runs that it really doesn't, well, it matters, but it hasn't mattered in terms of, legality. No one's going to come after me necessarily for, 12 little busts. But I still don't feel good about it. And I obviously don't have the money to pay for rights, because I barely make any money on this stuff as it is. So that's another reason that I really want to just move away from that and leave it behind, because I don't want to do that anymore. I don't feel good about it. If I had the money to pay for the rights, it's another story. And then I could do the official, they'd be official. Side note, if you see things that are sold as official, that usually should mean that they were actually paying for the rights to use that intellectual property. If you don't see the official with it, chances are it's a small-time artist like myself who is not able to pay for the rights. It's a gray area, legally speaking. Some people would say it's not a gray area at all. And they're probably right. So anyway, those are just a few things I've been thinking about. I don't know if anyone's actually got this far into the video. Probably not. But I'm going to follow up with maybe a slightly more interesting one. I'm going to talk a little bit about binge watching TV shows. That'll be kind of a discussion video. And we'll see how things go. We'll see how the channel evolves from this point on. I'd like to keep doing this, but not necessarily in the way that I have before. So, we'll see what that means. I don't know. Do you know? Tell me. If you know, tell me. Because I don't know. Okay, guys. Breathe deep in the night. Talk to you soon. Bye.